Order the March 9th, 2026 meeting of the Beacon City School Board of Education. Please stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vicki, can you call the roll?
Ms. Buscemi?
Here.
Ms. Urson?
Here.
Ms. Ullmeyer?
Excused.
Ms. McNair?
Here.
Mr. Sutter?
Here.
Ms. Hewer?
Here.
Ms. Sandler?
Here. Matt, can you review the fire exits?
Exits are in the back of the LGI.
All right, open to the public. Does anybody have a public comment that they would like to make? Seeing none, we will move on to our workshops. Our first workshop tonight is a presentation on the peer mentoring program at Beacon High School. It's a proposal by our own student board member, Chloe Franklin. Yeah. Perfect timing.
It would gradually.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name's Chloe Franklin, for those who don't know. I'm a junior at the high school here, and today I will be presenting to you my mentorship program. How do I get to the next page?
Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay. So what a high school mentor program is, it is a structured support system that connects students in need of guidance with more experienced older students. It consists of one-on-one group settings to foster personal growth, improve school performance, and help students navigate challenges and transitions. My main goal is to create unity between the different grades, because I feel like upperclassmen and lowerclassmen, there's like a big gap between that, so I want to build a bridge to connect us, and I want to do it by this program. So those who would be involved would be mentors who are participants in 11th to 12th grade who will be providing the guidance, and then mentees who receive the guidance would be 8th graders transitioning into high school, so 9th grade. How it will work: at the June orientation, I plan on having a table where parents can sign up their kids for the program, and then after that, I'll send out a survey that will pair up a mentor and the mentee that correlates with, that have similar personality and similar interests. And I'll talk about the survey a little bit later. The program will hold meetings once a month to do new bonding activities and help navigate bonds between the mentor and mentees, along with monthly check-ins to see how each pair is doing throughout the year. So some activities I would like to do is Who Knows Who Better, a yoga activity, because when I did varsity soccer, we did a yoga activity run by one of the athletes' mom, and that was really fun. And I also want to do a sports activity, so like maybe like a competitive like basketball game, kickball, something like that. Bake/cook-off, because I've always wanted to do that, and I think that would be like really fun. I can't cook or bake, but my mentee might, so that hopefully they can. And I'd like to do tutoring, because I feel like having someone you look up to, it'll make school seem less as a chore and more fun to do. And when we have tutoring here at the school, usually the students get paired up with a random person they don't know. So that way they'll know their mentee, and it won't be as like awkward and like stressful, I guess. Okay, so Mr. Dwyer had this delightful idea to incorporate the mentorship program into his summer program workshop that we just started here last year. So during the summer skills workshop, the incoming ninth graders, we'll have some mentors who come and give tours around the school, share some insight on what students can expect in high school, plan and lead team building activities. And then the mission statement is to work to provide senior and junior mentor students the opportunity to grow in self-confidence and leadership skills as they simultaneously build new relationships with incoming freshmen and new students. We work to ease the transition into Beacon High School. We believe our education and leadership opportunities work toward developing personal growth, new friendship, better understanding of our school culture, increased opportunity for community service, and stewardship, which are powerful implements of goodwill. And then I have this proposal that I'm gonna hand out to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. I got it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So in these packets, it's basically everything about the program in here. And I would like to speak about some things. So first I want to talk about how we will choose the mentors. We don't have like a specific like GPA requirement for it, but we don't just want anyone to do it. We want the students to be passionate about this program, and we don't just want it to be something that they can add to their resume. And I also don't want it to be like I don't want them to feel like it's a chore. I want it to be something that they want to do and they feel passionate about. I also want to talk about, okay. So for the survey, I will be asking about the mentor and mentee's extracurricular interests, their academic strengths or curiosities, and post-secondary interests like college, career, trades, military, etc. And the first year of this program will be like a pilot/soft launch. So it'll be run, the adult supervision will be Mr. Dwyer for the first year. And then the years after that, we're gonna see how it goes. And then we'll implement like an actual like staff, like advisor. So during the orientations, like in June and August for the incoming 9th graders, the orientation leaders, which will be the mentors, will lead tours and icebreakers during the summer orientation, facilitate small group discussions, serve on peer panels. If you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so Chloe and I had the idea that, like when the incoming 9th graders coming into the building, we're going to have like a student panel to hear directly from high school students. And the idea would be that, like our mentors would be the ones on that panel. And then also just leading like the tours and some of the other like orientation activities in June. And then again in the summer, they come back and like before school starts with the mentors.
Yeah, just to give some like insight on what the students can expect in high school. So I also want this program to incorporate engagement and school spirit component. So we want to start a Bring a Freshman initiative where mentors will periodically be encouraged to invite their mentees to participate in like club meetings, athletic events or practices, performances, showcases, or school-sponsored activities. Okay, and then I just want to touch base on the budget. So that's on page 4. Estimated for year 1 is not to exceed $2,500. And what we would need money for is the orientation leader t-shirts, lanyards or badges, food for summer or school year events, and supplies for like icebreakers and activities. And then to conclude this, the peer mentoring and orientation leader program represents a low-cost, high-leverage investment in student success. And that's all. Any questions?
This is great.
I love this idea. I think it's so, I think we are doing a little bit of this, but to formalize it in a program is so amazing and such a good idea. So thank you for.
I just think about when I was in 8th grade, I wish I had this because I didn't really know what to expect when I was coming into 9th grade. And also, like, when you're a ninth grader, like, the upperclassmen are scary.
Just a little.
And, like, it's just, like, we always are, like, ill, like, ninth graders, ill 10th graders. But if we build the bridge, that stereotype will be gone, hopefully. That's the goal.
I also really like that you're not putting a GPA requirement on it, because I feel like so many opportunities only go to a certain subsection of students, and there's no reason a student that's not, the highest GPA can't
Yeah,
show really great leadership and really develop their leadership through that.
exactly. As long as you're passionate and you want to provide guidance, I feel like this is the place to be.
This is super thoughtful and well planned out, and I really look forward to getting an update. I hope we can get an update on how this is going.
I'll be on the board next year.
Okay, good, excellent, excellent. So we will expect an update next year. And I'm glad that you're doing a survey for both, both groups of kids to make sure that
Yeah.
they're well partnered. That's really smart. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really
Thank
cool.
you.
Did anybody else have a question?
Nope.
No? Okay, then that's it. Okay, our next workshop, we're going to talk a little bit more about the planning for the budget. Matt is going to run through his presentation.
Right. So I'm excited to talk about the budget tonight. Before I get to that, I just want to also chime in and just say, Chloe, thank you for putting this together. This is a little bit different, but when I was in college, I, for several years, mentored 8th graders. It was like a program at our college, kids who went to the local middle school, and it was, for me, for sure, it was one of the best experiences I had. It probably was one of the things that led me into what I've done with my whole life in terms of teaching and being an administrator. And but I also think kids at that age, it's just like a perfect time for someone to be paying attention to them that's just not their immediate peer group. So just jumping ahead, like tonight's a little bit kind of like broad strokes about the budget. We're going to get a little bit more into the weeds at the next board meeting in terms of some finer details. But in that, we will include funding for Chloe's project, the mentoring project. We'll also include funding for the, just for the public listening. We had 2 student presentations from the SEAL Civic Readiness students that weren't during like a filmed part of the board meeting, but they were before a board meeting. So one was the garden and one was the outdoor classroom. And so we're putting that into next year's budget as well. So anyway, this is really exciting. Thank you for that. So I'm going to do just kind of a where we are right now with the budget and try to do an overview and drill down a little bit into some specifics with probably our biggest initiative for next year. I am going to hop around just really quickly because I realize this might be a good place to start. So, tonight is March 9th. We are going to talk about just where exactly we are with the budget. We're going to talk about, like I said, a big budget initiative that we have next year in terms of improving roundabout schedule. So at the next board meeting, we've done things a little bit differently this year. The principal presentations in the past, we would kind of mush them into meetings and have like 2 principals go each time. This year, we just had 1 principal go each meeting, which I think was a lot better. But it also gave us a little bit less time for like really long, in-depth departmental budget presentation. So next meeting, we're going to do 1 big presentation, but we're going to have 3 to 4 slides from facilities, from technology, from PPS, and from instruction. That will get really detailed, but it's going to be part of just like a larger budget presentation. And then on April 13th, we will do just the overall budget presentation, like where we just kind of pull it all together. But the key part that I wanted to just hit tonight is, that just to have you thinking about, is on April 24th, we need to, or Henry files the property tax report card with the state. In a sense, that means that's when we file, this is what our tax levy is going to be. And so, so we just have two, beyond tonight, we have 2 meetings before, she files. So, one thing just to have you thinking about, maybe during board comments, it could be more of a discussion, is if we need to have an additional meeting, I think the logical place to have that would be April 20th. If we needed to have like more conversation about a specific budget area or what have you. The other thing I'll say, just as kind of like a precursor to what we're going to talk about, is at the end or at any point during the presentation, if there's things that you want further information about, it very well may be covered in the next board meeting, but also just let me know by sharing it tonight or sending me an email or whatever, and we will make sure it's incorporated into either the March 23rd or April 13th. All right. Okay. First, I just, we have a lot to be proud of. I am not going to talk about every bullet point. In fact, I'm going to talk about very few. But, I say this every single year. The first superintendent I worked for as a principal always would start a budget presentation by saying our budget shows our values as a district and shows what we believe in. And when we were developing like better communication material for our strategic plan, we wanted to start that with just kind of the general listing, which doesn't include everything we do, but just of all the things that we've accomplished, all the things that our budget supports over the past many years in the district. Almost all of, not every single one, but almost all of those bullet points are things that have come into being over the last 8 years. Some have been district traditions for decades, but we've taken over the funding of, and some are things that we've really just sort of grown out really strongly over the past 8 years. We have a lot to be proud of. And so this will be something when I do budget presentations with the community, I'll spend more time here highlighting different parts of it. Like I said, I'm not going to get, deeply into the details tonight on that, but there's just been a lot. One of the things that we've been really proud of here in the district is just really the massive expansion of extracurriculars that we are offering here in the district, starting from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. A lot of those things were in place at the high school level, but we've really invested a lot in extracurriculars at the elementary and at the middle school level, which I think makes a huge difference, positive difference in connecting students to school. We've increased mental health staffing in the district over the years, started different curricular initiatives that we've seen really nice gains from, both in reading, science, the social emotional with the Positivity Project, and responsive classrooms. So I could go on and on, but we have a lot to be proud of, and this is really foundational here in terms of what we've accomplished through the budget over the last 8 years. Just quickly, and I have Anne Marie switch chairs so she's closer to the microphone. In case we have specific questions she needs to answer, she's prepared to come up to the microphone and answer. But just to overview our tax levy increase, that would be at the cap, would be 4.47%. The Dutchess districts, we all started a text thread today where we're kind of weighing in about where we think tax caps will be. And so that will be probably information that we'll share at a future meeting. One of the things we always like to do with this, though, is instead of just focusing on the tax levy increase, we also like to focus on how much people in different communities are actually paying in taxes, because this is not always the best descriptor of that. And so we will do comparisons like we've done in the past with some of our neighboring districts and how much a person who owns a house at a certain value, how much they're paying in each district. Like I've said, over the past many years, Beacon tends to be at the lower end of that list, despite some years our tax levy increase, the number of our tax levy increase being higher than some of those districts. You guys are great at pointing out that the first two, tax-based growth factor and allowable growth factor, are two things that we do not have control over that factor in to the development of our tax cap calculation. Back to that timeline I showed you with April 24th. So and Emery, if there's more details with this, jump in, but one of the things she's registering with that property tax report card is what tax levy are we going out to the public with? So 4.47 is the maximum one. Over the last 8 budgets that I've done here in Beacon, over the last 8 years, we've gone to the tax cap on each of those budgets. The last thing I'll say about this is ours is a little bit higher this year. It will be a little bit higher next year and the year following than it has been in the past because of the capital project that voters passed a couple of years ago. That had a tax implication to it. And so over the next few budgets, we'll be covering the debt on that capital project. Just ballot information. So we don't have the number yet. It's soon to be completed, but we have an overall budget number that the community will be voting on. We have the bus proposition, which we shared with you, but we have that on a slide. And then we have open seats to the board. I just want to clear up something that I've miscommunicated with just a couple of people in regards to next year. I mistakenly, Levon announced her resigning at the end of this term several board meetings ago, and so I've been telling some people that we'll have 4 openings next year, so it's not actually correct. Since Levon is resigning after the election, we'll have 3 openings for next year. Because we had 2 resignations at the early part of this year, the top 2 vote getters in this May's election will be sworn in immediately to the board, and then the third highest vote getter will start at the first July meeting. So next year, at least based on this election, we would have 8 board members, then the board can have a conversation whenever the board decides to do that about that open seat. I think it seems the past few times you've been just letting the seat stay open. But unless you all say differently, I'm sort of saying that's a conversation for this summer, I would assume.
Sure.
So I just wanted to clarify that because I've said to a couple of people, oh, we have 4 open seats. That's not the case. And then with those resignations, the whole swearing in the night of the election always can be a little bit exciting, because we've had that a couple times in the past year where the person's on the board immediately. So this is the bus proposition. Anne-Marie, is there anything you want to add with this? The buses themselves are what the voters will be voting on. In the transportation budget, we'll also be adding those 2 bullet points there. One to help us with communication with families. We're really excited about that part. And then one for the mechanic side of things. We've talked about this, so I'll do this briefly, but universal pre-K is a major new initiative in the governor's proposed budget. Typically, this current year, we received $450,000 to fund all of the pre-K we're doing. Next year, at least in the governor's budget proposal, Beacon would be receiving $1.1 million. We have been told by state budget officials do not count specifically on that number yet. Things may change one way or the other with that. I don't think they'll radically change. I think there's been way too much about this already that I don't think it will get pulled out. But this will be a game changer for Beacon because we have been using a lot of general fund money to fund our full day pre-K program. And now the state will be taking over and funding pretty much all of it. So that's a huge game changer for us, a real positive. I do think that, I'm not speaking about any specific districts, but districts that haven't been doing what we've been doing are in a different place with this and maybe not as excited because now they're having to figure out how to sort of radically shift the way they're doing pre-K in their district. So we're really well positioned. A lot of people on the instructional side and the administrative side have gone into making this work, but the board has been very supportive of this the past few years, so thank you. So our major initiative for next year, and we feel confident that we can pull this off, and I'll put an asterisk next to that confidence just in terms of there seems to be, depending on whether I've looked at the news on a specific day or not, some volatility in the economic world. However, we feel with even the governor's proposal that we can pull this off. So this is just a first kind of general overview of our thoughts about the roundabout schedule. So we plan to update the board at every future board meeting, up until April and then even into May. On Friday's Professional Learning Day, Saggy and Brian and I will be working with some Roundabout teachers just on fleshing this out more. So it's still a work in progress. But just to say specifically, Roundabout's schedule currently is unique. Most middle schools in the area, especially the specials classes, work on a quarterly basis. Roundabout does their specials classes on every other day basis. So in a lot of schools, you'll have like art or technology or one of those type classes just for one quarter, where at Roundabout you have them every other day or half the year. So we've always liked that. The uniqueness of it, though, presents some challenges. I think some of those challenges came through in Brian's presentation, whether directly or indirectly, a couple of months ago. What some of the challenges we currently have are that there's a few students who qualify for academic intervention services sometimes have to drop a special to do that. Sometimes that makes taking the AIS class a lot less, you're a lot less motivated when you're having to skip something you might be really interested in. We have kids who may not get health or may not get home and careers based on their schedule in 8th grade. We also have kids like they have to just choose band or chorus. We have to offer the advanced art class before the school day starts. I could go on and on, but there's, with the richness of the current Roundabout schedule, there's also some difficulties with it too. So a 9-period day would obviously shorten the periods just by a couple of minutes, but what's tricky about this, and this is where we'll drill down in future meetings, it's not like a universal thing that this means everyone will get exactly, this or that, because it's still based on some of the classes you're taking, especially in 8th grade. But with a 9-period day, we can say all students will have the health class. We also are thinking, this isn't set in stone, we're thinking of adding a health class to 6th grade as well. I think it's an area that we feel kids would really benefit from at the middle school level. We would like to add a technology offering. So students have a technology offering in all 3 grades. I know Brian's vision for it is to have it be less on the digital computer side and more on the hands-on side. That may take some years to develop because that may mean equipment and changing a room, but that's at least some early thinking there. With a 9-period day, some students would be able to take band and chorus, which we think could be really great for students. With the 9-period day, there'd be more opportunity for common planning time. With the 9-period day, we'd be able to move the advanced art class to during the day and offer some additional art classes for 8th graders to take. It does not mean every 8th grader will be able to take art just based on their other choices. So that's something that we'll try to flesh out. And not every student will be able to take band and chorus either. That's also based on some of the other classes they take. So what I'd like to do with this after we meet with the teachers and work with Ryan a little bit more is kind of flesh that out like in a really detailed way. Not that everything just sort of works perfectly, but just kind of do like if you're taking these classes in 8th grade, you won't be able to take this or you will be able to take that. However, it just greatly expands like the offerings that we currently have for the students. The other big one, and that's kind of how I started, is students who take AIS will not have to decide between a special class and AIS, which I think honestly is probably my #1 motivation for this change. You all saw the numbers. I know the board talked about wanting us to be more data-driven this year. You saw the numbers we shared with student involvement in AIS. That's a number that could go up. We think with this model, it certainly will. We also think student achievement, because students will be able to get more support for core content areas. Student achievement will also go up on either our own assessments or state testing, because students will be offered more support with this model too. So all that said, we want to take some time to flesh this out, but this is our #1 priority for next year. I've talked about this for 2 years prior to this, to the point where some of you may not believe that we're going to be able to pull this off. But we really want to move this forward and have this be like the way we kind of look at things, like even with the governor's proposal we have right now, usually budgets improve on that, but with the governor's proposal right now, we feel like we can do this. The pre-K money certainly helps with that.
So if we're able to do this, is there like a rollout plan to help parents and students understand and navigate like
Yeah.
choosing classes and all of that?
No, for sure. I see kind of two phases to the rollout. One is based on the budget vote. So I think before May 19th, we just want to do some community sessions just on if this is our big budget initiative, we want people to understand what we're doing. So would be both targeted to Roundabout parents and just the wider community. And then I think after the budget passes, we then would have specific sort of info sessions for Roundabout parents, including rising sixth grade parents, so they understand it better.
Great.
What we don't have on here, I know there's other details that I've talked about filling in, is the cost. We are estimating right now it would be between like 3 and 4 FTE, that's full-time teacher equivalent. So some of those positions would just be a straight teacher, hire other sort of parts of that number may be teachers teaching a sixth class. It will probably be a combination of those things. I forgot one thing. One of the other visions for sixth grade is to also have an every other day class that focuses on like both a social emotional curriculum and also study skills and kind of like a welcome to middle school sort of thing. Probably one of the hesitations that we all may have with the 9-period day is, can kids at this level handle having 9 different, classes a day? And so we feel if we do it correctly and that homework is mostly focused on the core content, that won't change. We're not going to be adding classes that will be adding more homework to students. We feel like it's a win, but that will be something we'll have to talk through with people, because I think especially sixth grade parents may have some reservations about, oh my gosh, like they're going from 1 to 2 teachers a day to 9. And so, we want to be able to relay that. And I think the vision for sixth grade sounds very supportive and very focused on the development of them as a middle school student. So we do want to spend more time kind of fleshing that out. I know there's teachers who have some really cool ideas for electives. We can share in a future meeting. There's a lot of details that we want to work through. But there is a pretty significant cost to it, and that would be 3 to 4 teachers. There would also be some curriculum design that would need to take place for a couple of the new classes over the summer. So is there anything besides us fleshing it out more and getting more details? Is there anything, you don't have to answer now, but if there's things that you want to hear more about with this, just let me know.
Anybody?
I think one thing, just in terms of the messaging, is that we have done this at the high school and learned a lot through that. And I think for, elementary school parents who don't necessarily understand that we've gone through that transition fairly recently, I think that would be a good story to tell and just like what we've learned from that.
Would teachers have to teach an additional class?
They still teach 5. So that's one of the drivers for the need for more teaching staff to do this. Some teachers, kind of like the high school, some teachers may teach what's called a 6th class, which means they receive additional pay for that. So we'd actually like to not have a ton of that. We'd like to do it mostly through new positions. So some of this will also evolve over time, meaning not just the next couple of months, but over the next few years of implementing this. Because we want to kind of figure out, with the additional technology class, what will really engage students, and that will take some time with that too. So it gives, in essence, it gives students more opportunities. It doesn't require students to make difficult choices about classes they should or be taking or are interested in taking, and I think it could be a real help. I think one of the things I hear over and over from parents and students is we need to really be in tune with the things that are really motivating to students. And every single one of our students is motivated by something slightly different, but a lot of times it may be a class that in the current model, we might be saying, you might not be able to take that class. We want to eliminate that as much as we can. So we're excited about being able to do this. When I said this is our major budget initiative, I mean, like, it's our biggest ask. It's our biggest, step forward. We'll have like a lot of smaller budget initiatives, whether equipment, curriculum, professional development, like things like that. But this is going to be our biggest new ask, and will be the most significant change in the budget. Excuse me, for next year. Before I get to future considerations, we also know we have a number of teachers at the high school teaching an extra class regarding special education. I think our thought right now is converting that into a full-time position at the high school. So it's not an exact one-for-one, but we think it'd be better to have just, bring a teacher into the high school. Another budget thing we're having to not cover, but take over is one of the math specialists at the elementary level has been paid through a state grant, which has been great. And you've heard the 4 elementary principals talk about how much they love having these math specialists in each building working with students. All of our schools are in good standing now, which means that state grant money is gone to us, so we'll have to take over the funding of one of those positions. So we'll lay that out more in depth on the 23rd, but those are just some things we're picking up as well. But we're excited about this, and we'll get deeper into this each time. But if there are questions tonight, or like in the future, you can text me, email me, whatever, because we want to, I know I'm kind of doing brushstrokes tonight, and we'll involve Brian in this too. It won't just be me talking about it, but we're excited about the possibility to do this. So just future considerations. When I say future considerations, like, we really talk to all of our department heads, the executive team, principals in the district who are talking to the folks in their buildings. And if the governor, or excuse me, if the state budget lands at like a 5% foundation aid increase or a 6%, you never know. It's currently at 1%, but we have other things we'd like to do, and so I think what we'd like to do is, figure out what the state's giving us. Our sense is it's not going to be a huge amount more than what they're currently saying, but make a multi-year plan with some of these future considerations, like how can we start layering these in over the next few years. And so I just will briefly touch on, I know at the high school, they'd really like to add like a specific college career counselor at the high school. I think a lot of folks are identifying that as a need, more academic intervention support at all grade levels. I know Saginaw would love to expand her instructional coaching model, or the district's instructional coaching model. I know Heather would love to add a behavior specialist. That's a person who helps teachers work with students on improving behavior, specific behavior. Right now, we do that in kind of both through contract and also through someone with a stipend, so it's a little bit more piecemeal. And then there's always, I think, there's always need to be evaluating what we're doing for mental health supports and seeing where we can add. But that said, I would love to have all of those things next year. Going back to here, this one, it's not, I'm not trying to like value them. This one impacts every single student at Roundabout, we feel, in a positive way, in one way or another. And I'm a parent of an 8th grader. Won't experience this, and he has had a great experience at Roundabout, so I'm not saying it's like this huge loss, but I think for kids at Roundabout right now and rising 6th graders, this would be a really great added benefit for them to have these more offerings. So I talked about the timeline a little bit. Just to go a little bit further down the timeline, the BOCES budget vote is at the end of April. Oh, we got one thing wrong. The budget hearing is not on. So we'll change that. The budget hearing is May 9th, and the budget vote is May 19th. And then I'm not going to go over this in deep detail. I am going to be sharing these slides both on our website and with the community via email. I'll also be using this presentation a little bit later when I do community conversations about the budget. once we've kind of settled on things. But we just wanted to provide an overview of things happening with the capital project by school. So we're gonna work on having this as a very regularly updated section of our website, but also be directly sending things out to the community just about like where we are. But this summer, we're gonna be working on, the main things are like secure entryways at 5 of our 6 schools, because Glen's is done. Cooling centers at at South Avenue. I'm gonna stick with cooling centers for now, but we're feeling fairly confident that we can add air conditioning to at least some classrooms in this work, which is really exciting. And then the softball and baseball field improvements will start this summer. And the theater upgrades will also start this summer. So we're excited about that, and we'll be walking the community through the next 3 summers because there will be a lot happening. But we just want to kind of remind people that that's out there too. So that's what I have tonight. So where I'm doing this a little bit differently this year, sometimes I would kind of wait to do this later, and just thinking about things, I felt like it made more sense to just say at the outset, this is where we are. This is what we feel internally we really need to focus on. We really want to fix and improve the roundabout schedule as much as possible in this upcoming budget next year. And then at the March 23rd meeting, we'll get really detailed departmentally in terms of different things happening. And then in April, I'll try to pull it all together. So that, again, the one thing, besides what information you want to see in the next few meetings, what questions you may have, is if we feel like we need another meeting before we file the property tax report card, just be thinking about that additional Monday in April. We haven't needed that in the past, but we're totally fine if we do. We're free to do that if the board wants to deliberate on anything more. Okay?
Yeah, we could take a straw poll right now to see.
Just to see if it's available?
Yeah, I mean, would everybody be available for the April 20th Monday?
I think so.
Maybe. I'm gonna be flying back, supposed to land at 4:30.
Ooh,
so
okay.
JFK, so, maybe?
Sounds fun. Sounds great.
Put a big date on that one. It doesn't have to be, we stick with Mondays just because that's when it meets.
Right.
And I don't want to act like we need it. I just want the board to feel comfortable with, we have 2 more meetings to land on things, essentially.
Okay.
And I know you'll want more from a numbers perspective. We'll provide that over the next couple of meetings. We just wanted everyone to be aware that, like, after that first meeting in March, we're filing with the state.
Right, okay. We'll figure out
Okay.
a time that's best for everybody.
Is there anything, while I'm up here, is there anything that you feel would really help you over the next couple of meetings with thinking about the budget? Like information, it could be basic, whatever, like just,
So I wasn't at the last meeting, and I know that, I think the meetings before, we had talked about, I think the levy was at, if I'm not, like 3.63. I think that was back in January. So I'll be honest, not to be a curmudgeon here, I actually thought that was a little high at the time. So then I wasn't at the meeting. I saw afterwards that we were now at 4.47. So what I would like to see is if we could try to, what it would involve to still have the teaming, or the 9-period day at the middle school, and try to get possibly below 4 or closer to 3.63. That's just me throwing that out there. Because I just think after last year being at 5.1, this year now at almost 4.5, I just think it's a little high, but that's just me throwing that out there.
I think what we could do with that is not do it for every single percentage point, but we can do kind of like a revenue, like take a couple notches down to, let's say, 3.5 or something, and just show how that would impact revenue. And then we would just kind of say, we would just talk about impacts.
Yeah, like
with
what
that?
that,
So
what
you
that
have
price
that?
tag means.
I think we could probably do that for the next meeting. I think time-wise, it would make sense to do that.
It'll impact program, it won't
Yeah,
because
right.
we had to put the debt number in.
Right. So we would prepare something like that for the next meeting. That's
Also,
all I was saying.
If it's possible to break down that number to show what part of it is the capital project, because I think that that's something that just is never quite clear, is, you know, you approve the project,
Mm-hmm.
but then you have to pay for the project. And that was, you know,
Right.
that was confusing last year, and we're still paying for the project. And so I think I think it's just important to make clear that this isn't just what we're adding to this budget to pay for this school year. This includes this work that's being done, you know, that everyone will begin to see this year, which is nice.
Right. I mean, if the 9-period day was the reason for the increase, I'd be a little bit more in favor of going over 4. But I'm just wondering if there's other ways of trying to keep the 9-period day and still stay below 4. That's, I
No,
guess, my question.
I mean, that's why I wanted to lay out tonight. I wanted to be really clear about the timeline, and I wanted to be really clear about what you need to hear and discuss over the next couple of meetings, and whether we need a third or whatever, I think we could decide later. So I think we can pull that together. And I understand what you're saying too, Meredith.
Yep.
Is there any other sort of like, could you make sure you cover this or that? Like, again, I don't want to put you on the spot, but please don't hesitate to like shoot me a text or email or whatever, just because we want, I always want the board to feel like they have the information, they need come those April meetings to feel like they can talk about the budget and make a decision.
The 9-period day sounds really exciting to me at the middle school. I mean, it sounds like it's really meeting some needs, or would meet some needs. I wish one of my sons had health in middle school and one had it in high school, and I can tell you they both could have used it. And so, that in itself is very exciting, and just the idea that these kids who are qualifying for AIS that's just limiting their choices and things that would really enrich their lives. I just think that that's a really great thing, that if we can do it, we should do it.
Right. And PE, the example I'm about to share, PE is not something that you can, you have to take PE, but I was talking with a parent just like a month ago, and she was saying, like, the thing that motivates my child the most is band and PE, and once those things kind of get the student in the door, and then everything else kind of clicks into place. But like those are the things sometimes that motivate many of our students. And it's nothing negative about core content classes, but sometimes it's like the other things that get us coming, extracurriculars or during the school day. And yeah, this just really widens that, so we're not having to make some of those difficult choices. I should say and I think this is obvious, and I'm going to try to figure out a way to visually show this at one of the next meetings, but the other middle schools aren't having this issue, but their students are in these classes for a lot less time.
Right.
So that's one thing we want to make clear to everyone, because I think sometimes people are like, well, at this other school, they offer blah, blah, blah. It's like, right, and they're only in that, receiving whatever, instruction in a special for a really small amount of time compared with what we want to do. So we want to make sure people understand that too. And we didn't, I haven't studied like every middle school in the area, but it's fairly common. And we're a little bit more on the unique side with this.
I also feel like it's always helpful in these to kind of go back, or not go back necessarily, but to include some of the basic context, like the pie showing what the share of every part of our budget is. I mean, I like having that in my mind when I'm looking at this stuff. I like being refreshed.
Yeah.
on those things.
I forgot, I just hopped back. I'll be super brief. I forgot one thing, advocacy. In my mind, advocacy is really simple this year. The governor's proposal has for Beacon and many other districts, the foundation aid increase is 1%. We are not living in a 1% world on anything. Whether it's, you're gonna hear in a couple of weeks about how things in the technology world are suddenly 50% higher in cost, whether it's laptops or Chromebooks or almost anything related to technology. Our employees are beyond a 1%, so like we're not living in a 1% world. Foundation aid for some reason is, it's not the most complicated advocacy in the world, but that's, I think, where we should focus our advocacy efforts, is that's not good enough. So forgot that one part. Anything else for the next one? So the next one, it'll be a comprehensive presentation, but each department head will come up and speak to their department and go over initiatives and costs and things like that. And then Anne Marie and I will kind of pull it together at the end with some of the information requested. Okay?
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Okay. So next up, we are going to hear from our student reps. Piper, do you want to start? Yeah. Oh. Yeah, wait, you're Piper,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
I wasn't sure what you were saying. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. My nightmare is saying the wrong name. Oh, good, I'm glad I didn't.
I think, Chloe, your presentation was very good, and I really like the idea of the peer mentoring, and I'm really glad that that's now becoming a thing. So,
I would also like to say that it was also a great idea. Me personally, when I went to Beacon in 9th grade, I was also feeling a little lost coming from middle school too. So I say this is a pretty good idea for the incoming 9th grade. So.
Awesome.
My turn. Okay, I don't know if this is like a dumb question, but I was just wondering what the tax levy increase is exactly.
The tax levy increase is the like allowable amount that we are able to raise overall from all property holders in the district. So it's based on a formula that this part is really hard to understand, and Anne Marie, sometimes you jump in and help me, but there's various things that go into the formula. Ours is a little bit higher than some neighboring districts because we also have a capital project that we're paying for that had a tax impact. But what are some of the things that go into the calculation?
We also have a tax-based growth factor, which takes into consideration all the building that's going on in Beacon. So you're allowed to raise the levy amount, the tax amount more because you have more building going on. And then there's a percentage for inflation. So it's a multi-level calculation that the state gives us that every district has to do, and then every district has to file with New York State.
And then the confusing part about it is that number doesn't mean everyone's taxes are going up, 4.47% or 3, whatever. Some people's, based on the assessment of their house, may be paying more. Some may be paying less. So that part is always like a challenge for us because it can be kind of confusing. And but it's the overall amount we're able to raise the entire tax levy in the community. It's where, how much percent of our funding comes from? 55?
Yeah.
The levy's becoming more percentage of the budget.
60?
Yeah, about
Yeah, I think our state aid's.
So it's, the biggest part of our revenue, the state funding we get is about,
35 to 40.
yeah.
So is it good that Beacon was the highest, like you said on the slide?
Well, not from a communication standpoint. One of the things that we, put some effort into doing is, despite that number, the 4.47, we'll look at homes in all of our neighboring communities. So we'll try to look at a home value in Wappingers. I think we've looked at Arlington. that, similar cost homes, right? And what we find when we do those comparisons, that people in those communities are paying more in school tax than Beacon is. So the levy rate doesn't mean like that Beacon homeowners are paying more than someone who lives in Wappingers or Arlington. That part just gets harder for us to communicate, because it's like another couple steps beyond the initial communication. But I think in the last couple budget mailers, we've put some of that information in about like where we compare with other communities. Beacon, comparatively, Beacon is on the lower tax side of all the districts in Dutchess County. New York itself is a higher tax state than almost every state in the country. But in Dutchess County, Beacon's on the lower side of what, the taxes levied on homeowners. All this stuff can get really confusing, because it's, people have a lot of different feelings about it, and I totally understand that. So it's just it's always like a communication challenge and puzzle. And so we always try to put emphasis on different things, go out and have sort of more in-person meetings, put different things in our website or in the mailer. But and I also need to say, not stupid questions at all. I think that's how you started. Those are really good questions. And it's a huge part of being a part of a board and what we do too.
And then I also want to say that I think it's a good idea implementing the 9-day period. It allows the students to do different areas of like classes like band and stuff like that. As a high schooler, I feel like it's even hard choosing what classes I want to take, and then 9th period day helps with that. So I think that's a good idea.
That's, I know we like, the 9th period day at the high school is 4 years old, 5 years old, I can't remember. And I always like hearing that validation, because sometimes we're making hard budget decisions and these things do have a cost attached. But I love hearing high school students, like the hard decision of what classes to take is made a little bit easier, or a lot in some circumstances with a 9 period day. It'll be a little different at the middle school, because there will be less, it won't have quite the, huge array of electives that the high school does, but I think it will allow for some more choices for middle school students too, which is exciting.
Also, it'll help with like them getting ready for high school as
Yeah.
well.
All right. So, since our exec is at the end of the meeting tonight, we're just rolling right into the superintendent's report.
Okay. So I just have a few things I want to highlight, and then something I just wanted to talk about in terms of our calendar. But first, I want to highlight it's well-known, but I want to give a huge shout-out and congratulations to our varsity boys basketball team. Won Class A Section 9 championship, our first section championship in 23 years. So super huge deal, which also means they move on to regionals, which, also thank goodness these things aren't falling on board meeting nights, right? Because we'd have some tricky things with schedules, but they play in the regionals tomorrow in Mayapack at 7. I think people, if they don't have a ticket, need to investigate live streaming, because I think it's sold out pretty quickly.
Can you live stream it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like we're now in the state tournament, the live stream has a fee. I think you have to like register and stuff. It's run by NISVA, but it's really exciting for the young men on the team, for the coaches, for all the high school folks, but also the community. So, and I'm really excited to see the run continue tomorrow night. We also have some other exciting things happening this week. We have our book bash, which I think is in year 3 or 4, which is just an awesome experience. It's at Roundabout, but it's really targeted for elementary students. And there's like authors who come and crafts and all kinds of different activities. You can even leave your teddy bear for a sleepover in the Roundabout Library overnight. So it's just a really cool event that our elementary principals organize and pull together, and our library media specialists play a large role in it as well. Also on Thursday night, we have the second half of our Music in Our Schools concert. that it's the band part of it on Thursday night. I think Anne Marie, your snow day was the thing. I'm just. I was out for a few days last week, post surgery, and Anne Marie had to call a snow day. So I've been like teasing her about it basically ever since. So
Yours.
yeah, we'd have more whatever give back days, not for that snow day that everyone in the Hudson Valley took, and it was a good snow day. It got very icy later in the day. Another thing this weekend, I'm going to do some. You know, it was in my superintendent update. But I'm going to do some more communication around it. The Rombout players are doing a performance. Is it 3 performances? I know it's Friday night, Saturday. I have to look, but it's in my updates. I'll be resending it out. I'm sure it's somewhere on our social media. But every time, this has kind of been revived. It's been a few years since we've had a play at Rombout or a musical. We're really excited about it. And it's always really well worth going if you have the time to attend. And then last but not least, just in terms of a business thing, I just wanted to talk. I shared a draft calendar on the board docs. I just was going to briefly talk about it. For next year, we'd love for the board to approve it at the next meeting so we can go public with it. Just in short, Labor Day is as late as it possibly can be next year, which means the entire schedule, we have to just sort of smush everything in there. There was really not a lot of decisions to make with this calendar. Rosh Hashanah and Lunar New Year are both on a weekend, so there's not days off for those. But other than that, we'll be taking off for all of the holidays we've been taking off over the past several years. This year we had the 2-week winter break. That is not happening next year because we just don't have the days. So we're going to be going all the way through December 23rd. We are making that a half day. So we're just I just wanted to put this in front of people. Yeah.
In November, it says there's a half day on the 24th and the 25th, but the half days that are marked are the 23rd and the 24th. So does that mean,
No. They're on the 23rd and 24th. They're on the Monday and Tuesday.
okay,
Yeah.
and then, so it's 3 full days off and then 2 half days?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Because our teachers, huge thanks to our teachers because they come back before Labor Day. It allows us to still do that. I think I don't know what every district schedule is this year, but some are having to get rid of that Wednesday before Thanksgiving, which people have gotten really used to, and I think it's really nice. So anyway, I just wanted to put this in front of you all. We'd like to put it on consent agenda next year. In my superintendent update to the community, I also just mentioned, despite the whirlwind, and sorry for teasing you, Anne Marie, about the snow day. I was actually texting you when you did it, and we were all in agreement. We've used 4 of the 5 we have built in, so we have 1 snow day left. If we don't use that day, it would be tacked on to the end of spring break. If every time I look at some sort of long range thing, it changes and there's big storm coming next week and all this stuff. So I'm trying not to freak out about that. But what I'll do is just kind of keep the community updated as we get through March. I think probably once, I should knock on something. Once we get through to spring break, we'll hopefully be okay. But it's been a long end of the winter. But we'll be updating folks about the calendar, about this year's calendar with all that stuff too. Okay?
All righty. Moving on to board comments. Catherine?
Thanks. I loved your presentation about the mentorship. I think it's so wonderful, and it has such obvious positive implications for the incoming students. But I also wanted to just note how wonderful I think it is for the older students to be participating. I find that being able to help someone else can sometimes be the most valuable thing and can be such an add to their own personal, self-esteem. And I don't know, I just think it's wonderful, full circle. So I really appreciate it. And I was reading through your thing that you handed out. And I really, really love it. It's so well thought out, and I just really appreciate it. So thank you.
All right. Semra?
Yes, thank you again for that program and the presentation on the budget, which is always a challenge to explain to everyone. Tax levy included. Look forward to more conversations on that and the 9 days, 9 period, rather.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, Levon?
Yes, I'd like to say thank you for both presentations. They were both very informative. And I would like to say I do agree with Eric. I feel like we do need a breakdown. I think especially with, the way the economy's going, I think it's important that we show the community the impact of what they could be affected by.
Thank
And that's it.
Okay, thanks. Eric?
Yeah, also, thanks for the presentations. Chloe, your presentation is honestly better than many administrators' presentations that I've seen. I work in a neighboring district, and this is a struggle, for whatever reason, of going from middle to high. It's not just in Beacon. It's in where I work, too. And this is a great way to, and you'll have some growing pains with it, but it's something to start from and build upon, and you can kind of, it'll evolve over years, but it's a really nice start. The last thing I just wanted to mention, with Matt's accolades towards the basketball team, I just wanted to mention that yesterday, not only are they winning, but they also received the sportsmanship award from the basketball officials, which is, being an official, that's pretty good to get the sportsmanship award from the officials, and they were voted in. So I just wanted to highlight that. That's really quite an accommodation. Wins and losses are great, but having good sportsmanship and being good citizens on the court is sometimes even better. So I just want to mention that.
That's great.
All right, Meredith?
Yeah, thank you for those presentations. Very excited about the mentorship program. And I'm excited about this budget as it develops. I think it's focused on students, and I feel really good about that. Couple of things. I sent around this letter to the community that Flora and I had worked on together, an update talking about the upcoming election. Didn't hear back from anyone, so I'm assuming everybody's okay with it. So we'll probably try to send that out tomorrow.
Yes, I think we should probably add the conversation we're gonna have tonight about board size.
Okay.
Like a little.
Okay. Well, let's see where it goes.
Yeah. There you go.
And yeah, I'm going to make a motion because we didn't put it on the agenda, to discuss board size. Chris had brought that up, and I think we do need to kind of finalize that conversation before this budget. I also want to reschedule the policy and crawl meetings that we had to cancel. I'm wondering if Thursday the 19th works for people.
No.
Hard no. Or the 16th?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so we can do both of them then. Does that cover everyone? Go on?
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do policy at 6, prawl at 7?
Yes, that's usually what we do.
What is the date of that?
16th. And then
Starting at 6.
Probably 7.
prawl at 7.
It's an hour.
Yeah.
Would we be able to get the website designer?
I will check tomorrow. We're actually meeting her tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Yep.
And then one other thing I just kind of wanted to throw out there.
Which one was which? I'm sorry. Sorry.
Policy at 6, prawl at 7.
Okay.
Or if one is better for
Yeah,
her,
okay.
we could try to switch it.
Mix it around, yeah.
I wanted to put this out for a future discussion of just, and I think this would be maybe like a several month discussion, but I feel like it would be great if we could somehow capture use of screen time in the district by students. And I was someone who was very for the cell phone restrictions at the middle school, and I was like on the fence at the high school. I was concerned about it. I'm so thrilled with how well it's going, and I feel like it was definitely the right thing. And it just made me think, that's something else that parents ask a lot about, and I actually don't know the answer. So I feel like part of it is just capturing the information, but I think within that, maybe there is some thinking about, is this exactly how we want our kids spending time? So we're in the heart of budget season, so I kind of just wanted to put it out there. So maybe it could be like a summer project, but just one.
What do you mean? What do you want to do?
Well, we use the computers at the elementary level for assessments, and I think I'm not totally sure how much time that actually takes. And I think that if parents were like, oh, a half hour a week or 45 minutes a week or something, they might feel differently about it than if it were, 45 minutes a day or something, which it's not.
To have it broken down.
Yeah, so have it broken down and just.
And like non-school screen use, if that's happening, or just any kind of like screen use, like free time screen use or stuff would be valuable.
Within the school day.
Yes,
Yeah,
within the
yeah.
school day is what I mean. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's changed a lot, actually. I think it used to be, if there was 10 minutes left of class, everyone could use their cell phones to, and now they can't do that anymore.
I
So
think
don't
there's
know.
some computer use happening, but I don't know. how-
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is I don't know the answer to it. It's really something I think that, it's something that parents have asked me about, and I just don't know the answer.
So do you mean if they're using, like at the secondary level, if they're using their Google Classroom within like the instructional time, or is that what you mean? or-
That's part of it, I
Okay.
think that at that level, it's more assumed that they would be, but, so I think that would be a simpler
Okay.
answer. And I'm not looking for something that takes everyone a ton of time to produce the information about, but I think it's something that, I think it's something that parents are concerned about, and I don't have a good answer when a parent approaches me.
Yeah. We should have some, I don't want to assume, but my assumption is more of the concerns are from elementary age parents
Yeah.
probably. And I think if we had, I don't know, say maybe even published kind of guidelines for screen time, not that there might be some variance from time to time.
Yeah, something.
I
you can
know,
put on our website.
we've done a lot with limiting, I feel like over the past year, we've, basically taken YouTube off all of it unless a teacher has approved a video. Like we keep eliminating different games. I mean, we're well aware that kids find ways around some of these things, but like we're on top of it quite a bit. Like we're trying not to have the Chromebook be like another burden on people. I know we're also talking at the elementary level about limiting them going home even, except for maybe fifth grade. So that's something that we have the technology budget information at the next meeting. I think the thought is right now we're going to be buying charging stations for the elementary classrooms, so they're essentially be staying in most of the time. It makes, a quick switch to remote learning kind of impossible, I guess, at the elementary level, but we haven't done that since COVID, and I know this year with all the snow days, we feel like we're teetering on the edge, but so there's been a lot of, something we talk about a lot, but we're not communicating it a lot. And so I think it's probably time for us to jump into that a little bit more too.
I think that'd be great.
Okay.
Can I ask about one committee, that, because I had kind of a challenging couple of weeks, or so the audit finance committee, we've gotten off track a little bit. I had to cancel it that night. But, I'm back. So to the audit finance people, and I'm kind of looking at Anne Marie too, because I know there's some things we want to get into. Are there any nights over the next, like, whether before spring break or after, but just throwing that out there too?
I mean, if we're just throwing out dates, do you prefer Mondays or it doesn't
Well,
matter?
no, I mean, well, the Mondays for March are kind of taken, I think, right? Unless we did it before a board meeting, but I know summer that's challenging.
Like, the 23rd at 6?
Yeah,
That's okay.
I have the commendation ceremony on,
I'm moving that to April.
Okay.
I just need a little bit more time with the flip I had. Anne Marie, do you want to try that?
I can do the 23rd.
Okay, perfect. Because I think we are developing some good momentum there, and I don't want to get off track.
Okay.
So I think with facilities, we're good for a little bit, because we had a pretty thorough meeting.
Yeah, I think so.
So, okay. I think those are all my committees I want to get. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. So yes, congrats to the varsity boys basketball team. I was so excited when I heard about that, especially because it has been such a long time. That's really cool. I also wanted to say, Chloe, that I loved your presentation. And also to echo what Matt was saying, there are no dumb questions. And actually, you asking that question sort of launched a really nice conversation that encapsulated what the tax cap is about really well. So I appreciate you asking and bringing that up. I also wanted to mention that Meredith and I went to JV Forrestal today and visited with the student council during their lunch, and they asked really great questions about what it means to be a board member and what your responsibilities include and how it affects the schools. And they were very thoughtful, and just, it was really interesting, not just to see the school and to get to walk through the halls, because I haven't been to JVF that much, so it was cool, but just to hear these kids be curious and interested and have a conversation with us was really nice. And then Meredith already mentioned the board update that we're going to send out. So I think that's it from me. And there are no changes to the agenda, but Meredith did want to have a motion for new business, so we can just go right into that.
so I'd like to make a motion to add a discussion about changing the size of the board to new business, or, yeah. Is there a second?
Oh,
Second. Sorry. Nobody wants to talk.
Daylight saving.
Okay. All in favor, right? We have to vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, and then we just open the discussion. So, did you want to?
Do you want to go through the
Yes,
rules?
yes. So I spoke to our attorney, and essentially, the rules that apply are pretty specific. If you want to reduce your number of board members, you have to put it up for a public vote, and then the community votes on it, but then it doesn't go into effect until the following election, which means it would be, the timeline I sent around, just to reiterate, it would be a vote to approve the proposition to change to 7 members, but 3 seats would still be up for reelection this year. And then in May 2027, it would be 1 seat up for reelection. So that would be the end of Lavon's term, my term, and Chris's term. So assuming that we both would run again, Chris and I would be essentially competing for a single seat. And then in 2028, there are 3 seats up for reelection. And then it gets a little complicated because this is when you start trying to adjust the cadence of the elections for the year. So 1 seat gets a 2-year term, 2 seats get a 3-year term, and then it sort of goes on a 2-2-3 cycle from there. That is basically how it would work in a nutshell.
And that's how it has to work.
That's how it would have to work. There is no room for anything. So with that in mind, does anybody want to start with how they feel about this process as it's been laid out? Or like what your thoughts are on us actually moving to a 7-member board this year, or voting to be a 7-member
So we
board?
would, if we went ahead and voted, we would be impacted sort of most directly next year when it is that. when it's
Correct.
time to cut back.
Correct.
But then, one of you, or the direct example is you. Come back for-
Right, if there was a vacancy, right.
Right.
So it would essentially mean there will be at least 2 new board members coming on this year,
Right.
and then 1 board member leaving next year. And so that would be the new makeup of the board.
I don't,
I'll say leave it.
I'm okay with it. I think, I think there's gonna be some
You're okay with,
growing
wait,
pains.
you're
to-
okay
for-
with
With changing it to a 7-member board, if we think that's the, I think it could be a good idea. I think this is a very big board. There's pluses with that, with committees too, but I think I could be okay with that, with going through that process and going down to 7.
Can somebody give me a brief history of committees and how many there have been compared to right now? And what kind of level of support you think the committees would need and if they would suffer with the smaller board?
I think there'd definitely be a big, I mean, this is the pretty standard number of committees, what we're at right now. I think there would be a little more commitment needed from board members, because, it's a 3-member minimum per board, so that would mean that board members would necessarily have to commit to more committees.
And because of that, I think staying with the 9 is fine.
I think, I mean, I have been in favor of using the board for most of my time on the board. I see exactly what you're saying, and there was a moment where I was like, well, I don't know, and because we also had 2 other committees that are not active right now, the Diversity Committee and the Sustainability Committee. However, I am concerned about doing it this year, given that Flora and Chris, 2 older board members, would be, one of them would not be on the board anymore because we're losing Levon. This is my last term, people.
You've done your time, you've done your duty.
But I have 2 more years on my term. But I think there is really something to being the institutional knowledge and so I guess I would vote for waiting until next year. I feel like it's something that is kind of like this disruptive shakeup, and it will be disruptive whenever it happens. But I just feel like right now, having just had 2 of our longstanding board members resign, we don't know who's running this year, but they will be green. It's a lot of new, inexperienced board members, and not to, no shade.
No, as an
the-
inexperienced board member, I can also comment how much I value institutional knowledge.
Yeah.
It's key. I mean, honestly, we can't have the blind leading the blind here. There's a lot going on. There's so much to absorb, so much to learn constantly, that I would be a little shaky, if there were gonna be a big shakeup like that, a big change. I'm the most equipped to comment on that. Apples.
As our newest board member.
Eric, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think originally I thought about 7 would be the way to go. I do agree that losing, to lose Chris and Flora next year would be a big loss. I also think going to 7 does put a lot of pressure on the committees, because people would have to be on multiples just because of the sheer numbers. And I also think that if we do go with 9 and we don't have 9, I've I don't know if I've had 9 in the 3 years I've been here. You know, we've gone from 9 to 8 to 7, and we've been able to get through. So I'm kind of leaning towards staying with 9 for that reason, maybe waiting to see if anybody runs this year or what the, you know, I don't see people knocking the doors down to run, and having, you know, the group we have here is, you know, we work pretty collaboratively and pretty well, and to have to lose somebody next year, I think would kind of hurt that process, so that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, and we really only have to decide whether or not we're putting on this ballot.
Right,
'cause it would be
exactly.
up to next year's
Yeah, we could do,
board
yeah,
to
right.
make that decision, so,
Yeah.
but I do think, I mean, I do think that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, we did learn this year that we worked really, I think, really, really well as a board of
Yes.
7, and I'm
I
so
agree.
grateful to this board. And, but the benefit of going down to 7 is you only need 4 for quorum if it comes
Oh.
down to it. So that is the reason to,
Oh, I
you know,
see,
like,
okay.
if we're having trouble filling the seats, then.
Got it.
And we are, you know, like, I mean, yeah, no one said yes to me.
Yeah, I feel like there's a
Me
lot
neither.
to be said for moving to 7, but this is just a really tentative time.
I agree.
To
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot to be said for it, but maybe not right now.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Agreed.
Okay, so we're agreed that we're gonna table this for this year, but it's worth revisiting at some point down the line.
Correct.
Sounds
I
good.
agree with that too. Okay, all right. Thanks, everybody. All right, so next up, we are going to talk about the nominating candidates for the Duchess BOCES Board. There are 2 vacant seats. Right now, there is 1 nominee that's come forward. That's Mark Fleischauer. He's been on the Rhinebeck School Board for almost 20 years. And it's my understanding that another nominee will probably come from another district, and then eventually we will, later in April, we will vote on both candidates. But I am comfortable with us nominating Mark as a candidate, since he's already come forward. So can we get a motion for a nomination? Or how does this, I forget every year. Do we just ask somebody to nominate it, or is it a motion?
You can just read the action.
Okay. Someday I'll remember.
Well, if you only have to do it once a year, you probably won't, that's okay.
Okay, so be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Beacon City School District hereby nominates Mark Fleischman to run for the Dutchess County School Board of Cooperative Services on the Duchess BOCES Board with the term commencing July 1st, 2026 and ending on June 30th, 2029. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education directs the district clerk to certify the 2026 nomination form as such and deliver said ballot to the clerk of the Board of the Dutchess County BOCES on or before March 20th, 2026. So then, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 6-0. All right. On to the consent agenda. The use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate, and that item will be considered and voted on separately, thus preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. Are there any items that any board members would like to have removed from the consent agenda?
I have 2.
Okay,
12.05 E12
E12, okay.
and 12.14 M19.
12.14 M19. Okay, can I have a motion to approve 11.01 through 15.09 minus 12.05 E12 and 12.14 M19?
So moved.
Levon, second. By Semra, comments or questions? All in favor? Aye, passes 6-0. Can I have a motion to approve 12 point, should I just do them together? Or should I do them separately? Okay, great. Can I have a motion to approve 12.05 E12 and 12.14 M19?
So moved.
Levon, second.
Second. Or did someone second?
Yes, Semra.
Okay.
All right. Second, comments or questions? All in favor? Aye.
Abstain?
One abstention, passes. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn to executive session to review the employment history of a particular individual? The board does not plan to return afterward.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Meredith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes 6-0. Good night.